the the Islamic book, because it hasn't been somebody's translation. It's one of the better translations I've seen, but it's a little bit difficult to read if you haven't read the Arabic. If you haven't read the Arabic, it's a little bit difficult to read. But after Al-Fatiha, inshallah, we'll go to Shaykh Muhammad al-Munajjid. He has a book on the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's on the seerah and how he interacted with the people. It's a long book and it's been edited properly. Inshallah, we'll get that. Right, Bismillah. Was on level 2 Khaybar, only you?
I think so.
يلا بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. التراكيب النحوية. We stopped here. تبادل السؤال والجواب مع زميلك كما في المثال. Here they're saying exchange question and answer with your friend or with your colleague as in the example. مثال هل أنت كشميري؟ لا أنا ماليزي. The question is, are you a Kashmiri or from Kashmir? This person says لا, no, أنا ماليزي. I'm from Malaysia. طيب خيبر, the first one.
هل أنت إندونيسية؟
إندونيسية.
إندونيسية؟ لا أنا تشادية.
شادية. Which شادية?
تشادية.
What's شادية? Anyone? The country in West Africa is called Chad. You spell it C-H-A-D in West Africa. So they've put a ta and a sheen to get a cha type of a sound. So Chad for a masculine and Chadiyah for feminine, because you're adding the ta marbuta. Next one. Who else is on this level? Afifa, do you want to read?
Yes, Assalamualaikum. هل أنت صالح?
This one here.
So, okay, that one. هل هو نيجيري؟ لا أنا موريتاني.
Okay.
I don't know how that is pronounced.
Mauritani, from Mauritania. What they've given you here is they're trying to teach you a little bit of the verbs and how they change and how to address different types of people also when it comes to nouns. So anta, we've all been used to taking anta, hal anta kada, hal anti kada. Now we're getting to huwa, he. So you're answering the question on behalf of someone else. So let's say you're two people and you're asking about the third person to say hal huwa Nigeri, is he Nigerian? And then the answer would be la huwa Mauritani, no, he is Mauritanian. Ahsanti. Next one, Khaybar.
هل هي ليبية؟ لا أنا إيرانية.
Here. You're talking about her. So someone's asking you a question to say, is she Libyan? And then let's say you answer and you say, you don't say, no, I am Libyan. You answer and say, no, she is Libyan.
لا هي إيرانية.
هي إيرانية. أحسنت. The next one. Anybody else wants to read? طيب عفيفة, carry on.
هل صالح سعودي؟ لا صالح قطري.
هل صالح سعودي؟ أحسنتي. لا هو قطري. ها.
Okay.
Next one, خيبر.
هل صالحة
صالحة.
إمارة؟
ممنوع من الصرف. صالحة.
هل صالحة إماراتية؟ لا. صالحة
ولا هي
بح لا هي بحرينية.
بحرينية
بحرينية.
من بحرين. The next one عفيفة.
هل أحمد هندي؟
هل أحمد
هو
هندي. So you've got to make sure that you're reading with إعراب, so whenever your إعراب changes then you'll be able to differentiate.
أوكي. هل أحمد هندي؟
هندي.
لا هو بنغلاديشي.
Well done. Next one التدريب الثاني. تبادل السؤال والجواب مع الزميل كما في المثال. Similar concept, and as you are now all aware, العربية بين يديك, they give you passages, you learn the passage and then they make you carry on practicing and practicing and practicing until you are able to pick up. ماذا في الحقيبة? So here they're asking a question, what's in the bag? So what's is in a certain place. ماذا في الحقيبة? What's in the bag? في الحقيبة ملابس. In the bag are clothes. Okay, so خيبر, first one.
ماذا في المطبخ؟ في المطبخ أطباق.
And what's the
What's
translation of
in
both?
the kitchen? In the kitchen there are dishes.
Well done. Next, Afifa.
نعم. ماذا في ثلاجتي؟
Fifth, so you join when there's alif lam, is حروف الشمسية and قمرية. الشمسية, the easiest way is they've got shadda. So you'll say immediately, like here, look for example, ماذا في الحقيبة, you read that lam, but here you'd go straight to the tha. ماذا في الثلاجة.
ماذا في الثلاجة؟ في الثلاجة فاكهة. الثلاجة is fridge and فاكهة are fruits.
Yeah, so what is in the fridge? In the fridge are fruits. Anybody else wants to read Omar?
Yes.
Yalla, read. You heard two examples.
ماذا في الغرفة؟ في الغرفة أثاث.
Translate.
What's inside the room? In the room is, I don't know the أثاث.
Athath is furniture.
Sorry.
Athathul manzil, like that. So furniture. You can see a sofa, you can see some lamps, you can see some paintings, etc. Saeed, you said you'll join later. Ibrahim, you want to try number 4?
No, thank you, Sheikh.
Okay.
I'll pass for this one.
Okay. As long as you're listening, you'll pick up. Saeed, free or still working? Allah said he'll come later. Saeeda?
Yes. Am I audible?
Sorry?
Okay.
Yeah.
هذا في المكتبة في المكتبة كتب.
Well done.
What's in the library or the books, I guess.
Yes, what's in the library? In the library, there are books. Also, look at how they teaching you how to respond to a sentence. So you got here ماذا في الحقيبة or ماذا في المكتبة, and then you start with في المكتبة. Generally, you're not necessarily going to say الكتب في المكتبة, rather في المكتبة كتب. Khaybar, what's the singular of كتب?
كتاب.
And what type of plural is this?
كتاب. كتب.
جمع واحد.
It is مؤنث.
مؤنث we
جمع
agree
مؤنث
that
الثالث.
no, how can it be جمع مؤنث صالح?
I don't know.
An inanimate object, when it's plural, you can use feminine. Inanimate means it's not alive. So kitab doesn't have a soul in it. So kitab itself is masculine. Kutubun, you can use feminine because it's inanimate. However, the type of jam', we said there's a few types of jam'. You've got jam' mudhakkar salim. Okay, مذكر, masculine. Salim means the original letters in its singular form have not been disrupted or changed. So, for example, Muslimun, mim, sin, lam, mim, singular for a man, مذكر. If you want to make it plural, you say Muslimuna. Okay, again, the original has not been changed. Mim, sin, lam, mim. And we've only added waw and nun. That is jam' mudhakkar salim. Salim from something which is salim, which is intact, which is also a person who's healthy. Then you've got jam', which is also masculine. However, it's called jam' taksir. Taksir means it's been broken. What's been broken? In its singular form, you've disrupted the letters either by dropping something or adding something. So, for example, rajulun, you've got ra, jim, and lam. One man, rajulun. What's the plural? Rijalun. Ra, jim, you've added an alif and then you're putting a lam. Rijalun. That's jam' mudhakkar, but it's not salim. It's taksir. Okay? Because it's been broken in its original form. So the same thing here. Kitabun, kutubun. As for jam' mu'annath salim, you're only adding alif and ta. Okay? Carry on. Next. Khaybar.
ماذا في الحقيبة؟ في الحقيبة تذاكر. What are in the bag? In the
What's in the
bags
bag?
are
Haqiba is
the
one
bag.
bag. Haqa'ib.
There are
how many
tickets.
bags? Tickets. Well done. Last one, Hafifa.
ماذا في السيارة؟ في السيارة قمصان.
Translation.
Shirts. What
Shirts,
what
yes.
is in the car? Shirts are in the car.
Shirts in the car shirts. Qumsan. What's the singular for qumsan? Sayyida?
قميص.
Oh, qamis. Okay.
Sorry.
Well done. يلا تبادل السؤال والجواب مع زميلك كما في المثال. Again, they want you to practice. من أين أنت قادم؟ أنا قادم من بنغلاديش. قادم meaning where are you coming from? Or where have you arrived from? Where are you coming from? So asking this person, where are you coming from? أنا قادم من بنغلاديش. I'm coming from Bangladesh. طيب خيبر. من أين أنت? You ask the question.
من أين أنت قادم؟
سيد.
من أين
Correct question.
أنت قادمة؟
قادمة. Well done. طيب answer.
أنا قادم
قادمة.
من
قادمة. You're
أنا
answering as
قادمة من إندونيسيا.
Indonesia. طيب next one. سيدة.
من أين أنت
من أين? This one.
sorry. من أين هو قادم؟
Yeah, and the answer.
أنا قادم من ماليزيا.
So the question you asked is من أين هو قادم? Where is he coming from? And your answer was I am coming from. What's the correct answer? You're talking about somebody else.
هو قادم من ماليزيا.
Well done. He's coming from Malaysia. Next one, Umar.
من أين هي قادم؟
هي
هي قادمة.
yeah.
هي قادمة من السعودية.
Saudi. Yeah, she's coming from Saudi. Ahmad, Afifa.
من أين من أين أحمد قادم؟ أحمد هو قادم من ليبيا.
Libya. So either you can say Ahmad قادم or you can say هو قادم. Next, Khaybar.
من أين فاطمة قادمة؟ فاطمة قادمة من
موريتانيا.
موريتانيا.
Translate.
موريتانيا.
Translate.
Where is Fatima coming from? Fatima is coming from Mauritania. I don't know how to say.
Mauritania. Where's Mauritania?
Mauritania. Africa.
Where in Africa?
I'm guessing.
West Africa. Mauritania, Chad, Mali, all those countries are West Africa. You must visit. A lot of poverty there. طيب, next, Omar.
من أين فاطمة قادمة؟
Salman, huh? Salman.
من أين سلمان قادم؟
So Salman ممنوع من
سلمان
الصرف. Yeah, it doesn't take to Salman, no. Huh?
سلمان قادمة من تشاد.
Masculine. Salman قادم من Chad. If they took
Chad.
out the tie, it would be more correct. Shad, but they want you to get the CH pronunciation, so you get Chad. Inshallah, we'll stop there, and then tomorrow hopefully we'll finish this one. This all masmu'. These are all the exercises which just repetitive, but as you go module by module, you'll understand the benefits of this repetition. Any questions with what we've taken in this?
No question. Not with what we've taken now, but
No.
what we have taken prior
In
to Ramadan.
your book or this book?
This book.
Right, ask.
You explained to us how to ask somebody how he is, kaifa haluka, and when reply ana bi khairin, alhamdulillah, and we ask again kaifa haluka anta. Why are we adding anta when the ka already represents the opposite person?
So sometimes you can add for emphasis. كيف حالك أنت? Like that. There's some verses in the Quran, some ahadith also that show emphasis. So the word is repeated. Okay? So it's also correct.
Okay.
Also correct.
Even if we do not say anta, that is also correct.
Yeah, so كيف حالك or كيف حالك أنت, and some people even say today كيف أنت. Understood?
Okay. Yeah. Exactly.
Right, let's go to your people's favorite subject, Kitab al-Zakah. I want to open my whiteboard. Bismillah, Umar. So far in revision, we've taken up to 120 in Zakatul Ibil. Am I correct? Tell me what's after that.
Check my notes, check.
Tayyib, Saeed.
Yes, Zakatul Ibil, Zakat on camels, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
Zakah on camels. Last time you told me.
yeah.
Hold on. Yeah, last
Yes,
lesson, what did you tell me?
Yes, after 120, then it's the same like with the 0 till 4. There's no additional zakat from 121 to 124.
Tell me
So
the
it's
previous
still,
two. Tell me the previous two thresholds where you got binta, labun, and hiqqatan. Is from where to where?
Yeah, 2 Bint Labun was 76 to 90 camels.
Right.
And then from 91 to 120 camels was to Hiqqatan.
Right.
Yeah, and after that there's 121 to 124, and there's no additional zakat.
That's
just
according
like
to
the
That's
0
according
to 4 camels.
We're talking about the which madhab? The Hanafi madhab, huh?
Hanafi matter.
Hanafi madhab.
Yes,
The others, they differ.
Hanafi
Yeah,
madhab.
at this specific point, they differ. They then say 120 and above. They've got a different way of calculating. Carry on. 121 to 124. Must tusta'naf al-fariḍah. Basically, you'll start again like you're starting from the very beginning. So it's like you have 1 to 4. So for example, let me show you here. When we've reached 120 camels, we said this person will pay how much zakah? Hiqqatan. What's
2 hiqqah.
Hiqqatan is what?
Hiqqatan.
2 female camels, which are how many years old, Omar?
It is. Oh, sorry.
3 years old.
Khayba?
3 years old.
Saeed?
Yes, 3 years old in their 4th year.
3 years old in their 4th year. What? So what's after Hiqqa?
Jaza'a.
Jadha we took it came behind, right? Hiqqatan. In the Hanafi madhab, from here they say from 121 up to 100 and how much, Said?
The 124.
121
That's,
to 124. Hold on, is exactly the same as you going 1 to 4. Okay, when you have 1 to 4, you don't pay any zakah. Correct?
Correct.
So you'll still be paying hiqqatan. What's the next threshold with them? Ibrahim, did you revise?
What happened?
What's the next threshold from here in the Hanafi madhab?
What was the one previous?
Pardon?
The one previous, I was kind of busy with something.
Tayyib, Saeed, since you revise, what's from here?
125 to 129 camels. That's a hiqqatan plus 1 sheep.
So exactly like you're starting again, okay? It's hiqqatan, which is this
Then
here, plus 1 sheep. Right, tell me the others quickly, so we can start a new lesson.
130 till 134 is hiqqatan plus 2 sheep.
Right?
And 135 to 139 camels is hiqqatan 3 sheep.
And then,
140 to 144 camels hiqqatan 4 sheep.
right, stop there. Tomorrow I'll ask you from there, inshallah. Okay? Right. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Last week we took zakat al-dhahabi wal-fidda, zakah on gold and silver. And also we took paper money and we took inventory. That's finished now. In the Hanafi books, when you look after this, in some of them, they mention a chapter called, speaking about Al-Ashir, Babul Ashir. What's Al-Ashir? Al-Ashir literally means the 10th. It comes from, sorry, that's an ayn there. It comes from 10, okay? I.e., it's talking about a zakah of 1/10. What is this Ashir? I told you earlier that in an Islamic country, there's 2 types of wealth that people give zakah on, 2 categories when it comes to the wealth being apparent or not. There's that which is apparent, okay? Apparent means people can see. What can people see? They can see your livestock and they can see your zuru' wa thimar, are your crops. Hence we said, in an Islamic country, there's a person called a sa'i. Sa'i is somebody who is appointed by the Muslim country to go to these farms and these places to look at what the people have and how much zakah they're going to pay. So for example, before the harvest, a guy will go and he'll look at the date trees and the fruit will be out and he'll be able to say, okay, you'll be owing us so much when the harvest is ready. Or when it comes to collecting animals, whether it's camels or cows or sheep or goats, he'll go, he'll count them, and then he'll take whatever is owed in zakah. This is what? This is a sa'i. Notice how he is somebody who is going to these farms, okay? The farm people are not going to him. He is going from sa'a, sa'a, which means to travel, to pass through. He is going to these farms to collect. Then there's somebody else, okay? This is this chapter here, speaking about Al-Ashir. What's it about? There are people who want to trade, okay, business people. They want to trade when it comes to their animals, when it comes to their fruits, when it comes to anything. They travel in order to trade. And in those days, people would travel with their goods. So let's say you had a farm and you were living far away. Okay, you were living in what we would term today as a different country. No Islamic government there to pay zakah. From there, you want to come to a Muslim country in order to pay your zakah, in order to do business. Here you would pay, they would ask you, there's a man who's been put on the road, okay? That's why they say, man nasabahul imam. Person who's been put by the imam. It's like, you know, when you go through borders and immigration today in the airport, you have to pass through customs. And they'll tell you, if you're passing through a country, they'll say, some countries, they'll tell you, what's the value of goods you have? And you'll say, I got so much. Then if you've passed a certain threshold, you pay a tax, or they'll take something from you. In some countries, it happens. Similar concept. What's the concept? The concept is these people are coming with wealth. They're entering in a Muslim country, and we are providing them with security. And at the same time, if they're Muslims who haven't paid zakah, we can be taking their zakah. The difference here is a sa'i, another difference. A sa'i goes to the Muslims to take their zakah. As for this person who's been put on what we could call similar to a border post, entering this border post, you can have Muslims, okay? And you can have what's called a dhimmi. Dhimmi is a non-Muslim, but they live under the protection of the Muslims. They're not fighting the Muslims. There's some sort of agreement with the Muslims that they will live there, whether they are paying jizya or whatever they're doing. They've entered the land with peace, similar to how you have a visa today. So that's why when you read in the books of fiqh, dhimmi, those non-Muslims who've been left with their religion, they didn't enter Islam, whatever they're living in the Muslim lands. And then you got another type of non-Muslim who is called a harbi. Harbi is somebody who, from harb, who's fighting the Muslims, okay? They have war with the Muslims. At times, you have a truce or you have peace, etc. These people, due to the truce or due to peace with the Islamic country, they may come with their goods in order to trade in a Muslim country. So just imagine today, if we were living in Medina, and let's say you had a non-Muslim country nearby, like Ethiopia, which is majority non-Muslim, okay, and let's say they had goods and they were going to cross over the Red Sea and they were coming with their coffee to sell. If they were dhimmis, they would pay a certain amount. So a Muslim's amount that he pays is 2.5%, same like zakah, okay? And then this one is double, okay? This is, they say rub'ul ushr. Rub'ul ushr is 1/40th or 2.5%. And this one is nisful ushr, okay, which is 1/20th, which is 5%. And harbi, because he's got hatred and he wants to fight, but he's coming right now due to a pact that they may have, he will pay al-ushr, 10%. Hence, you got the topic of this whole chapter, al-ashir, and what comes under it. Inshallah, tomorrow I'll tell you all the detail when it comes to this, bi'ithnillah. What I want you to understand today is, in those days, you had people going to the farms to collect zakah. Then it's mentioned at the time of Umar al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, he put this in place. So people were coming to trade, and due to them being protected, so their wealth is protected. Remember, if a dhimmi or this harbi is coming to a Muslim lands and he's paying this type of we could call it a tax in our terms today, that means he's supposed to be protected. Anybody goes against him, anybody fights him, anybody tries to steal from him, we have to protect him, because he's praying that al-himayatu bil-jibaya. Himaya is protection and jibaya is by taking. And that's one of the reasons that this is put in place. And inshallah, tomorrow I'll give you more detail, bi'idhnillah, what happens when this isn't there, what happens if somebody claims, let's say somebody's entering a Muslim land. Remember, in those days, there were no aeroplanes. If you were traveling to Makkah, Medina, anyway, you go and you stay 3, 4, 5 months, 1 year, half a year, like that. what happens if somebody comes and they pay, okay, a non-Muslim, and then they exit after 3 months and then they want to enter again? Should he pay again or shouldn't he? What if a Muslim, for example, in the beginning of the year he's paid, then he comes after 3 months again? Does he pay again, or is only once like zakah, because we've taken literally zakah from him? You understood the concept? The concept you understood? Any questions with the concept of this?
No, Sheikh.
Ibrahim?
Yeah?
You have a question? Afifa?
No, I was just giving a thumbs up.
I have a
Afifa?
question.
Yes.
So yes, so this is like zakah that the other Muslim who come in the Muslim land, they have to pay.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
It is like zakah. It's like zakat that other Muslim which come to a different Muslim land, that they have to pay.
Look,
So
if
they don't have to pay.
yes, so bear this in mind, that in those days there was the Muslim kingdom was one, okay, especially at the time of the Khulafa al-Rashidun. They may have had deputies in other countries, but the kingdom, there was one ruler. So when Umar al-Khattab radiallahu anhu ruled, he did have people working as, like, you could call them governors in Syria and elsewhere. Now, what happens if the Muslims here we're talking about zakah. If a Muslim is coming from those faraway lands and he hasn't paid his zakah, okay, they will take it from him. If he says, for example, that I haven't reached nisab, they're supposed to accept from him. If he says, for example, I've already paid my zakah, they're supposed to accept from him and not take. If he says, for example, I paid once before and I'm entering now a second time within the year, they're also not supposed to take from him, etc. So those are ahkam and masail we'll go into. As for these two, some people say a dhimmi takes the same rulings as a Muslim. As for harbi, if he comes in and goes out, he must carry on paying, because he's paying for protection only. As for the dhimmi, he lives with the Muslims. And inshallah, tomorrow we'll go into a bit more detail. The only reason why some of these masail, when it comes to this, when it comes to a few others, people find it difficult to understand, is because we don't have it practically today. There isn't. We have a similar concept, but you must remember we're living in a secular world where the West is in charge, and a lot of these masail don't apply. We follow the West, and it's not necessarily the other way around. So up to there, as long as you people understood the concept that Islamic era, as the country spread, there were people who would go out to collect the zakah, and in case or on certain trade routes, in order to protect those routes. Imagine if somebody is traveling with camels. If you calculate one camel today to be at least 1,000 riyals, at least let's say $1,000. Okay, somebody is traveling with 100 camels. He's traveling with what? He's traveling with $100,000, literally. There was no safety on the roads those days. People would steal, people would hijack. We call qutta' al-turuq. So in order to protect that, they would take a little fee. It's like how you take for security, etc. That's from the non-Muslims also.
So basically, the harbi has to pay every time he enters, and as for the
And
zimmi,
he pays more.
he'll pay only once a year.
And he pays more. What's that?
Zimmi has to pay once in a year. That's 5%.
Dhimmi will get to his ahkam. Muslim pays once in a year because it's zakah. Some people say dhimmi is same like a Muslim. Some people say every time he enters, he must pay. Unless he is living there, so he's a resident there. He went out and he came back, like that. What's also interesting to bear in mind is when they used to go to spread Islam those days, the sensitive and difficult topic, but they used to give them options. So why did the Muslims go out to conquer other lands? Was mainly, or the main objective is to spread the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, okay? Then they used to give them options. Remember, it was a strong empire, similar to what the West and all of them do today. They go to different countries and they make them accept their rules. If they don't accept their rules, they put sanctions on them. If they don't accept through sanctions, then they fight them if worst comes to worst. Why? It's a battle of ideology that they want to put on other people. So when it comes to a Muslim, his job is to spread the deen of Allah. If they in a place of strength and they go to spread Islam, first thing you call the people to is to worship Allah alone and to enter into Islam. If they do, fair and good, everybody's Muslimin. If they don't, they then give them the option that, okay, no problem, we leave you on your religion, okay, but since it's a new country taking over, a new people, you will pay to us what's known as jizya. Jizya, in our terms, we could say like a tax. What's the tax for? We will protect you. If anything happens to you, we'll look after you, etc., 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 etc. If they refuse that, also they refuse the people to do their da'wah, they refuse the people to call to Allah, they don't want to accept Islam and they want to fight, then they fight. Simple. The concept is simple, and we see it panning out today, but in a different form. So you got superpower today is the West, for example, exerting their influence. Now you've got the East in the form of China, etc. Similar concept. And also when it comes to zakah, as you will take later on, the people whose zakah is paid to, وَالْمُؤَلَّفَةِ قُلُوبُهُم. Who's مُؤَلَّفَ قُلُوبُهُم? مُؤَلَّفَ قُلُوبُهُم literally translates to people who you want their hearts to earn the love of their hearts towards Islam. There's many different categories. Some scholars say those who are close to Islam, okay, haven't yet accepted. Some scholars say not only them, they say people who've accepted Islam, but they are weak Muslims. And they need to be given wealth in order to stay, because if they don't, then they'll leave Islam. That's also anna mu'allafa qulubuhum. A third one is they say an evil tyrant who, by giving him wealth, we are saved from his evil. Imagine, an evil tyrant, not a Muslim, but by giving him some sort of wealth, because we are weak, we are saved from his evil. So it's something that happened before, and inshallah we'll get to that when we're speaking about Ahlul Zakah, people who are deserving of zakah.
Sheikh, as in the Zimmi and
Sorry,
what you mentioned, the Zimmi and the Harbi, what they exactly pay? They pay juzya or they pay ardu kharijya, as you mentioned last time.
We're going to get to kharaj. We're still going to get to what's known as kharaj. So after this, they speak about what's mined, okay, and then they speak about kharaj is where, for example, like the people of Khaybar. The people of Khaybar were Jews and they had knowledge about palm trees. If you go to Khaybar today, when you drive out of Medina, you'll see it's full of palm trees the whole way. The Muslims realized that we have no knowledge about these palm trees. We don't know how to look after them, etc. The Messenger ﷺ left them on that land, telling them that whenever we want to take you out, we will ask you to leave. And they agreed that they would be paying some sort of fee. So they would do the work and they would keep half, and the other half they would give to the Muslims. And we'll get to that. Kharaj and Ard Kharaji, etc. Right, Bismillah. Let's start here. Again, this book also تبادل السؤال والجواب مع زميلك كما في المثال. Here they're trying to teach you how to ask who is this who. Man means who. Man refers to a person, okay, animate object, something that's got life in it, literally a person. And ma refers to an inanimate object. So ma means what. So what is this? Ma هذا جوال. And man هذا, who is this? You're talking about a person. Umar, read first.
Man هذا؟
Yeah.
هذا والدي عدنان هو مهندس.
هو
Who
مهندس.
is
Huh? Generally, the default
مهندس.
in your i'rab is dhamma until you learn otherwise.
Who is he? he is Adnan's father. He is an engineer.
من هذا is asking who is this? Is هذا والدي. This is my father.
My father. Okay.
If
This is my father,
yeah,
Adnan.
this yeah shows possession. Okay, carry on.
The next one, sir.
No, هو مهندس. What's مهندس?
Okay. Mohandas is an engineer.
أحسنت, well done. Halim, next one. من هذا? I'll ask. من هذا?
Sheikh, I'm just looking. Man هذا? Are we on the? Can you please indicate to me on the screen so I can see?
This one, the man with the red scarf.
Red scarf. Oh.
Okay,
So
we're
it says-
coming. We're
okay,
coming back to
sorry.
you on the
Oh,
next one.
okay.
Naeem. من هذا?
من هذا؟ هذا عمي عمر.
عمر.
هو مدرس.
Meaning?
This is my uncle. Umar, he is a teacher.
أحسنت. Halim, next. من هذا?
جد. عفوا. هذا جد سالم.
No,
هو
هذا
طبيب.
they're teaching you how to say this is my. So add a ya there. هذا جدي.
هذا جدي سالم. هو طبيب. This is my Jed is. I only know there's a grandfather.
Yeah, جدي.
But
That's my grandfather.
Jaddi.
Salim.
Okay, هذا جدي. This is my grandfather Salim.
Salim.
And he's a
Salim.
doctor. Salim, and he is a doctor.
طيب, next one. من هذا? Who's here? Ibrahim.
هذا أخي صالح هو طالب.
Okay, get into the habit of reading. Yeah, get into the habit of reading the dhamma at the end, because it will soon change to a fatha, soon change to a kasra. When you're speaking, no problem. You can stop on a sukun. However, for your i'rab, you need to be able to differentiate between salihun and salihan and salihin. Yeah, this is my brother Salih. He is a talib. What's talib?
Talibun. This is my brother Saleh. He is a student.
Ahsant. MashaAllah, you guys are so many. I need to scroll down. Saeed, are you here? من هذا?
Yes. هذا صديقي علي. هو معلم.
Meaning?
Sorry. This is my friend Ali, and he is a teacher.
Ahsant, well done. Here, now look at what they're telling you here. حول, which means to change. كما في المثال. So now they're teaching you. First, in the previous exercise, they taught you with a ya to say walidi. When you add a ya to this, it shows that it belongs to you, meaning it's mine. Kitabi, my book. Walidi, my father. Now they're trying to teach you his and hers, possession of somebody else. Okay? Waliduhu, his father. Kitabuhu, his book. Qalamuhu, his pen. You add what's called a ضمير here, and we'll go into those ضمائر later. So for example, first one, هذا والدي عدنان. This is my father, Adnan. هذا والده عدنان. This is his father, Adnan. Yalla, who's here to read? Sayyida. This one here.
هذا والدة خديجة.
Feminine, huh?
Okay.
هذا is for masculine. What's for feminine?
هذه والدة خديجة. I'm unable to do actually.
Okay, first say that this is my mother, exactly how they've given you. First say this is my mother, Khadija, then say this is his mother, Khadija.
Okay. هذا والدي هذه والدي خديجة.
والدتي والدتي
والدتي خديجة. هذه والدته خديجة.
Well done. Next one. Who's here? Afifa. This one, first say this is my sister Salma, then say this is his sister Salma.
Okay. Har
You with us?
yeah, I'm a bit confused.
Okay, so
هذه أختي سلمى.
yes.
هذه أخته سلمى.
Well done. And if you want to say that's her sister Salma, what would you say? هذه
أخته.
أختها for her. Huh?
أختها. Okay.
أختها Salma. يلا عمر, next.
هذا عم عثمان.
My mother. If you say
عمي.
Ammu Uthman, it means it's mudaf ilayh. Ammu Uthman means the uncle of Uthman. Here you want to say this is my uncle Uthman. Hence you say هذا عمي عثمان.
هذا عمي عثمان. This is my uncle Uthman. هذا عمه عثمان. This is his uncle Uthman.
Well done. Next one, Ibrahim.
هذا ابن علي.
No.
هذا
Ibn Ali
ابني.
mudaf ilayh. Say this is my son Ali.
هذا ابني علي. هذا ابنه علي.
Ibnuhu. Huh? Next one. Amma Halim.
هذه عمتي عائشة. هذه عمته عائشة.
Well done. Next one. Last one. Saeed.
هذا صديقي أحمد. This is my friend Ahmed. هذا صديقه.
Yeah.
Ahmed. This
هذا
is
صديقه
his
أحمد.
friend Ahmed.
Well done.
صديقها or صديقه?
No, صديقه. We're talking about his friend.
Oh yes, yeah. Okay, it was.
Okay, right. Mulakhas means a summary. Here, what we've taken so far in the module, they want to give you the summary of tarakib. Tarakib is basically your structure. What have they taught you? They've taught you how to use the word aina. Aina, and you must write these in English, practice upon them, and then inshallah you remember. Aina, you're asking where is something. Aina al-mi'taf, where is the jacket. Aina al-nadhara, where is the glasses. أين سعيد? Where is Sa'id? أين سعيدة? Where is Sa'idah? Then you ask man. Man, you learned how to ask who. Man هذا? Who is this? Man هذه? Who is this for a lady? Man أنت? Who are you? Man أنت? Who are you? Feminine. Man هو? Who is he? Man هي? Who is she? Then you also learned how to respond. Either respond by using huwa or hiya. And you're talking about a verb here. So huwa, notice how they've all got yas at the beginning. These are verbs. Huwa yatawadda'u. Huwa yusalli. Huwa yaqra'u. He is making wudu. He is performing salah. He is reading. Hiya tatawadda'u. She is performing wudu. Hiya tusalli. Hiya taqra'u. You learned all these. And here they taught you how to say somebody is in a certain place. Sa'idun or Sa'ida, any of them. Fil masjidi, fil musalla, fil ghurfati, fil hammami. Okay? And hadha, they taught you how to say this for masculine and hadhihi feminine. If it's masculine, you'd use huwa. If it's an inanimate object. We could translate it as is or it. هذا هو المسجد. This is the masjid. هذه هي النظارة. We don't say that she is the glasses. We say this is a pair of glasses, for example. And you also use هذا and هذه when it comes to a person. For example, هذا والدي عمار. هذا والده عمار. هذا جده عمار. And هذه, when you're speaking about a lady, هذه والدتي. هذه والدته. His. هذه جدته, etc. And huwa and here we took again, and we saying that this is a person who has a certain profession. هو طبيب. هو مهندس. هو طالب. هي طبيبة. Notice also how the difference between these two is you're just adding a ta marbuta, which shows that it is feminine. That's the last page before you get to the next one. After that is masmu'. Here they have al-aswat. Al-aswat is where they teach you in this book how to differentiate between letters which are very close. Remember, there's those who are non-Muslims, those who've never ever been able to read a word of Arabic, who are learning these books. Hence, they've got to differentiate between the two. So here they're teaching them about Ain. So you've got Umar, Ammar, Alaykum, Abdullah. Look at how they're putting emphasis on the Ain. And then later they're showing you the difference between Ain and Hamza, or Ain and Alif. So for example, Alim and Alim. Okay. Atat and Atat. Arduha and Arduha. Just that emphasis when it comes to the Ain and when it comes to the Alif changes the meaning completely. What they're also trying to show here is how an ayn looks when it comes at the beginning of a sentence, when it comes at the beginning of the word, when it comes in the middle of the word, and when it comes at the end of the word. This I'm sure you all know. You can read one ayah each. Let's start. Saeed, first one. Notice the ayn.
فال مع
فإن
أسري يسرا.
And if you stop yusra.
So you don't pronounce that and.
No, this is like a full stop. That to show the ayah is stop. Next part.
مع
Inna, there's a shadda. I told you this time on Friday. Shadda, hold. Inna. Inna. Not ina. Inna.
Inna مع العسر يسرا.
Yusra. أحسنت. Naeem, next
يسرا. Okay.
فلا تعجل عليهم إنما نعد لهم عدا.
Well done. Next one, Omar.
عما يتساءلون. عما يتساءلون.
Amma. There's no alif here too. It's not amma yatasaalun. Amma yatasaalun.
عما يتساءلون عن النبأ العظيم.
Next one. MashaAllah. Before you guys were Sophia, I could see all the names. Now I can't. Who hasn't read? Anyone who hasn't? Sayyida next.
قال ربي أوزعني أن أشكر نعمتك التي أنعمت علي وعلى والدي.
Well done. Last one, Afifa.
Yes. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل يا أيها الكافرون لا أعبد ما تعبدون ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد ولا أنا أعبد ما عبدتم ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد لكم دينكم ولي دين.
Well done. And these are all exercises to do with the tape. So it says istami', listen to the tape. You can find these tapes online, but all the exercises before are exactly the same. They just making you develop your listening skills. So they say listen to the tape and then put a tick on what you hear. So either they're going to tell you the person on the tape is going to say يقرأ or يتوضأ or يصلي or يتوضأ. Then if it says يصلي, you put a tick here. Same when it comes to this exercise. They'll either tell you شجرة or أسرة. If you say أسرة, you put a tick here. But you've taken all this before. If you notice, these are all the same exercises, but now they put them on the tape. It says استمع, listen, ثم أشر إلى الصورة المناسبة. Then point at the correct picture. Okay? استمع ثم ضع علامة الصح في المربع المناسب. Again, listen and then put, so in the first one, if the first one they might tell you is a shajara, so you put number 1 here. 2, they might tell you surah, picture, so you put it there. But this you've taken all. Then this becomes revision. This is kalam. Inshallah, we'll stop here at kalam in this book. I know it's not that long, but because we're teaching 2 books, before we used to have a good hour in this, but a little bit is better than nothing. Before we finish off, what did we say we'll learn today? Mustalah al-Hadith. Who revised? Where did we stop?
We stopped at Da'if.
Da'if. So do you remember all the conditions from before?
I was writing it the other day, but I don't remember all of it. I'll try though.
Ya Allah, who remembers? He said the easiest is get the matan. If you're able to memorize it, or no, if you're able to read it plenty times, then know it, because that's basically it. You've got in your mind. So when we're taking Bayquniya, for example, Bayquniya is a small matan. Matan means script that's been written to make knowledge easier. So if you memorize them, then you'll have those conditions with you. So we took أولها الصحيح وما اتصل إسناد ولا مشذ أو يعلي رويه عدل ضابط عن مثله معتمد في ضبطه ونقله. Then went والحسن حسن المعروف طرقا وغدر رجال لا كالصحيح اشتهرت. And then ضعيف وكل ما عن رتبة الحسن قصر فهو ضعيف أقساما كثر. That's where we stopped. Okay. يلا
Mawdu. Yeah, we said it was completely fabricated, and there we stopped.
Mawdu is completely fabricated, and then we stop. Okay, so let's recap so we can take a new lesson tomorrow. Tell me, Hadith. Tell me if you made notes. I gave you more than what was in the book. Tell me from the beginning all that I told you.
Yes. Should I just
tell me like you're teaching me, but in 2 minutes.
Okay. This hadith consists of multiple categories. The first one, Sahih, consists of 2 types. Those lidatihi, the Sahih in and of itself.
Before that, I told you something before.
The 5 conditions.
No.
There are 5 conditions.
Omar, like an introduction. Hold on, I'll get to you. Omar, did you take notes?
Yes, sir. When we were learning the hadith, we mentioned in order for hadith to be sahih, the authentic chain of narrator is connected.
Hold on. Before that, mutawatir and ahad. You remember? You can't remember. You never make notes.
Ahad. I don't remember, Sheikh.
You just remember me talking about it. Right. So look.
Yeah.
Naeem. Okay, Naeem. If you remember, give us.
Sheikh is mutawatir, not massively transmitted, and then ahad is just one narration.
No, you're on the right track, but not exactly what I was looking for. Okay. So
but I know the name.
What's that?
But I know the name.
Okay, hold on. Let me recap before you confuse the new students. Yalla, look. When we're talking about hadith, leave all sahih and everything aside. Let's look at hadith. When you see a hadith, open Sahih al-Bukhari, for example. First hadith, he'll tell you, حدثنا الحميدي, حدثنا فلان 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 عن عمر إنما الأعمال بالنيات. Okay? The actual hadith, or the saying of the Messenger ﷺ from إنما الأعمال بالنيات is called the matan of the hadith. Okay? Matan. Mim, ta, and nun. Okay? In Mustalah al-Hadith, we're not looking necessarily at the matan. Okay? Matan is where you get the ahkam from halal and haram. You get some of the detail from the etc. We're looking at... What's that?
That would be like the content.
Yeah, the content, yes. Then you've got the chain of narrators is called the sanad. Okay? Here in Mustalah al-Hadith, we're talking more about the sanad. Sanad is the chain of narrators, okay? Right. So we've taken that out of the way. So matan is somewhere else, and we're talking about sanad here. That's why we say sanad, isnad, etc. Isnaduhu sahih, isnaduhu da'if, isnaduhu muttasil, isnaduhu munqati', etc. All that will come. Right. That's one category. Put a full stop there and put it on the side. So we're talking about sanad. Next, in hadith, if you want to categorize it, we could say there's two big categories. There's what's called mutawatir, and there's what's called ahad. Mutawatir is where something has been repeated or transmitted so many times through so many different people, it's impossible for them to have lied, to have agreed to lie on something. So, for example, if Omar, who's sitting in India, tells me that there's a place called Makkah, and somebody sitting in England says there's a place called Makkah, and somebody sitting in the Arctic tells me there's a place called Makkah, somebody sitting in every single country in the world tells me there's a place called Makkah. All these people haven't met. They don't know each other. The fact that they are giving me a piece of information, it's coming from so many different sources, and all these sources, as in the definition, يستحيل تواطؤهم على الكذب. It was impossible for them to have agreed upon a lie. Okay, it's come through so many different avenues. It's the truth. It's because otherwise it's impossible. Okay, so that's why they say some ahadith are mutawatir. They've been narrated through so many different channels. It's impossible for that hadith to have been a lie. And similarly, I always give the example. For those who are into technology today, when you look at blockchain is the same concept. What is a blockchain? When you're talking about Bitcoin and all these things, simple. This is a block, okay? A block got information, and in Bitcoin, for example, it got people's transactions and balances, okay? Then you got another block that joins after it. So you might have heard of Bitcoin mining. What's Bitcoin mining? Bitcoin mining is where there's new information that comes out. Before it was it depends on the difficulty of mining, but every so many minutes, the miners mine a new block. And through encryption and all that, only the person with the correct answer is able to join a block. Now, if me and Umar, for example, are doing business, and he gives me $100, and in my book, I write $50 that he gave me. What do I owe him? I owe him 100. I write 50. And I pay his accountant, sorry to use the example, I pay his accountant a bribe of $5. And I say, change that 100 to $50. And mashallah is a big businessman. He'll never know unless he remembers. And even if he remembers, his accountant has recorded it wrong. He can't prove me with that record only. Are we in agreement here? Where you don't agree or you lose me, tell me. What's the problem here? The problem here is you've got party A and you've got party B, and I'm keeping a record of his and he's keeping a record of mine. And the problem is because I'm also a bad actor, I've bribed his accountant and told him change the record. Hence, there is no true record in existence. Okay? Now, same when it comes to these coins, and then same when it comes to Mustalah al-Hadith, and I'm going to get there. I'm going to take you step by step. Now, when it comes to, let's finish off with these coins here, okay? Same concept. There's people's balances and people's monies that they've been sending, okay? It's transaction. A, B, and there's more people also. How can Umar protect himself, or how can he prove, even if I've bribed his accountant, that I actually paid him $100? The way he proves it is if he has, let's say, example, 10 accountants, okay? 10 accountants. So this accountant can be bribed. This accountant can be bribed, okay? It's harder to bribe all his 8 accountants, okay? But let's say they're sitting in his office. It's harder, but it's possible. Apply this to hadith. Same thing. If a hadith has just one chain of narrators, we're not so sure of the chain of narrators. It's possible that even if they were a good chain of narrators, it's possible they made a mistake. And if they weren't a good chain of narrators, it will go down. But if you've got a lot more people narrating the hadith, but they still may be from the same country, the same city, etc., the likelihood of mistake is a lot less. But if you think of it logically, it's still possible. But the fact that a lot of them are narrating, it's still likely. If Umar has now people in different parts of the world keeping his transactions, so he got one sitting in India, and he got 10 sitting in America, and he got 30 sitting in Australia, and he got 100 sitting in the UK, and he got, and all of a sudden he's got, let's say, 10,000 people keeping accounts for him. Here it's now impossible for me to cheat that system. I can't bribe, I can't get to all 10 physically, it's not possible. They all spread out across the world, and resource-wise it's not possible. Okay, so what did the Bitcoin network do, and other blockchain technologies? What did they try to do? It's the same thing. They've got a block with the information. They said, all you people in the world, keep these records. Okay, why must I keep a record? Why must I use my electricity? Why must I use my computer? Why must I buy a miner? Buy it because there is an incentive. What's the incentive? Now, this is all mathematics and encryption and programming in the block. For you to join this new block with the transaction to the old block, you need a special, like an encryption. It's like a code, okay? And only one computer finds the answer generally, okay? So you need a computer with high speed and working hard. However, why should I use my electricity and buy a computer? Because I've got an incentive. If I mine this block, if I get the correct answer, I get the new Bitcoin that will be coming from that network. Hence, on the Bitcoin network, for example, you've got somebody mining. Mining literally means keeping transactions and records. You've got people, thousands of people in South Africa and America and England and Australia and. So if I go to try to bribe one of these and say, you know what, just change my balance, it's not possible because there's another 100,000 balances all over the world. It's not possible. And then they've made it such that the chain which is correct will carry on. So same when it comes to mutawatir. Here we were getting to mutawatir. It's not possible for 100 people in Medina and 300 people in Iraq and 700 in Syria and 1,000 in Yemen and others in Africa, and all narrating the same hadith, especially at that time from the Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It's impossible for them to be lying. You understand? So that's mutawatir. We've got a piece of information and it's impossible to belie that information, because it was impossible for all those people to come and agree on a lie. They have to have heard it from the source. What makes a hadith mutawatir? Some of the scholars differ vastly. Some say if 5 different people narrated it, all the way up to 70 and more. However, some hadith which are known to be mutawatir. Next, you then come to ahad. What's ahad? Ahad doesn't only mean one. Ahad means anything less than mutawatir. So similar to how I told you these records. If you have one, let's come here. If you have a hadith, let's say the Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and you have the Sahabi who heard it. Sorry. And then you have the Tabi'i. And then you have, for example, Al-Bukhari. Bukhari narrating. It's only coming from down through one chain. It's, if we look at the chain of narrators and we agree that all these people are meet the criteria of Sahih, it could be Sahih. It may not be Sahih. It's possible for them to have made a mistake. The minute you're adding more people to this chain, you're going higher. Okay, but there's still a possibility. Now, what happens? What happens if you've got 3 narrators, okay, from a Sahabi? However, after the Sahabi, all these 3 are weak. They were known to be weak people. Or the sanad is cut off. How is it cut off? Somebody from the, like if Imam Abu Hanifa, not Imam Abu Hanifa is a tabi'i. If Imam Malik is narrating directly from one of the Sahaba, he never meet any of the Sahaba. Okay, so there you already know that there's a problem in that sanad. So my point being, ahadith which are considered mutawatir, generally we can say they're sahih as long as we agree they're mutawatir, because no matter what sanad they came from, it's impossible for this piece of information to be wrong. But those are very, very, very few. Then you come to those which are ahad. Ahad, under the umbrella of ahad, a hadith could be sahih and authentic. It could be hasan, which is a little bit less than sahih, or it could be da'if, etc., as we'll take. So that's that main thing. When you hear somebody speaking about mutawatir and ahad, you must know this is what they're talking about in a nutshell. So after that, after understanding that this mustalah that we're talking about, we're searching in ahadith which are considered ahad. Are they correct? Are they authentic? Or they not? First, we took conditions of Sahih. Omar, now you can tell us, what are the conditions of Sahih?
For the sanad should be correct. The chain of narrators should be correct.
How many conditions?
5 conditions.
5.
Yes.
Right. First one is the sanad. First one is the sanad should be connected. What does that mean? If you have, like let's say the Messenger ﷺ, and then a Sahabi met him, and then a Tabi'i met him, met the Sahabi, okay? If the Tabi'i is narrating directly from the Messenger ﷺ, already we know that this chain of narrators is broken, because it's impossible for a Tabi'i to say, the Messenger ﷺ told me, or he said. He has to have heard it from somebody, because the only way he can say that he heard it from the Messenger is if he's a Sahabi. So immediately we know that there is a problem in that sanad. So أولها الصحيح وهو ما اتصل إسناده. The sanad is connected. The moment you see a sanad that's not connected or is disconnected, you must know that this doesn't now fall into what's sahih. Second is Saeed, second condition.
Adala, integrity, the upright character of the
Before that, so
narrator.
if you learn the matan, you'll know the order. Isnaduhu walam yashidha aw yu'al. There's no shudhudh in that hadith. Okay, what's hadith shadh? And what's an illah? Huh? Hold on.
Illa is
Hold on. We said illah can be any problem. There's a few definitions, but let's go with illah being a problem in the sanad. So let's say, for example, somebody hides his name, Abu Abdullah, and then we don't know which one it is. Okay, that could be an illah in the sanad. Somebody, a strong narrator has the same name as a weak narrator, Abdullah ibn Ahmad, and this one's also Abdullah ibn Ahmad. It's also part of an illah, and you'll take those later. There's different ilal you can get in the sanad. And shudud, generally speaking about the narrations, if you go through the different narrations, you'll find that somebody has narrated it differently to the others. So for example, one of the definitions is مخالفة الثقة لمن هو أوثق منه, where somebody who is thiqah, who is trusted, whose hifth is good Muslim, he goes against those who are better in their hifth as well as in the hifth as well as in the adala and the integrity. So for example, one of the hadith they always give an example of is 7 who will be under the throne of Allah, under the shade of Allah on the day of Qiyamah. وَرَجُلٌ تَصَدَّقَ بِصَدَقَةٍ, a person who gave sadaqah. We know this hadith is sahih. فَأَخْفَاهَا, so he hid it such that حتى لا تعلم شماله ما تنفق يمينه. The person doesn't know, his left hand doesn't know what the right hand spent. Okay? So most of the narrators, they narrate it like that. There's one narration where it comes through, one of the narrators where he says the opposite way around. He says, the right hand doesn't know what the left hand spent. So he's a person with adl and thiqa, etc. But this lafz is shadh. Shadh means from shudud, it's something rare. We could translate it as, i.e., he's gone against those who are more knowledgeable than him as a group. So إسناد ولم يشذ أو يعل يرويه عدل ضابط عن مثله. 4 is the person narrating should be adl, trusted, not known to be a liar, not known to be a good upright Muslim, and ضابط known to have good hifth. So you find some people who are pious, some people who are good Muslims, but the hifth, etc. is weak. And when we're talking about hifth, we're talking about 2 types of hifth, either through the heart, through the memory, or their writing. So people, when they would write, they would know. That's sahih. Then you've got hasan. Hasan, all the conditions of sahih, except one where they're talking about the hifth of the person, that he's not an A star in our terms. He might be a B, he might be close to a C, etc. So he's not completely weak, but he's not the strongest either. He's all right. So then his hadith would go to hasan. And anything less than those, more conditions are missing, then you're talking about da'if, and da'if has many different categories. So that was the overview of what we took before Ramadan. So inshallah, tomorrow we'll carry on with, yeah.
So the 5 conditions, the first one would be the continuity of the chain. The second,
Yes.
the absence of hidden defects, the absence of defects, ila. And then the third would be the accuracy, the depth.
Yeah, so
of the transmitter,
shudud and
soundness and written
hold on,
accuracy.
hold on. Shudud and illa, some people say shudud is speaking about the matan, so the content of the hadith, okay? And illa is speaking about the sanad. So there shouldn't be any irregularity in the content of that hadith, and there shouldn't be any irregularity in the sanad of that hadith.
Okay, and I had this other condition, like the soundness of memory and the written accuracy.
Yeah, that's from
and
Bob.
then the conformity, the khairshat, the conformity, also a condition. But I think I had this from another site once. I wrote this down in my notes.
Okay, again, the simple look here. The chain of narrators should be connected. There shouldn't be any break in the chain. Okay.
Yes.
The sanad, there shouldn't be any problem, any illa in that sanad. The matan, there shouldn't be any irregularity. The person narrating the hadith should have 2 conditions. He should be a good Muslim, i.e., he is not known to tell lies, etc. He performs all his salah, and he's known to have a good memory. 5. Okay. Hassan is all those conditions except one. When it comes to his memory, he's not as strong. And da'if is anything less than that. So the minute you've got an illa in the sanad, and you have somebody weak narrating it, and they weren't known to be too good of a Muslim meaning maybe they were known to have like lied once, or maybe they were known to have what they call bid'ah. So people who had what they call in some books say tashayyu'. Remember, it's not considered like what we consider the Shia today. No, tashayyu' means they had an inclination towards preferring Ali over Uthman. That's one definition, but it wasn't like what we define today. There's those who narrated hadith who had that, so they say as long as it's not calling to his bid'ah and it's in another bab, they would still take from them. And all that you'll get into detail. For now, all I want you to understand is someone says Sahih, you know roughly what they're talking about. Someone says Hassan, you know roughly what they're talking about. Someone says Da'if, you also know what they're talking about. Now, the important thing to mention, last point for today. Imam al-Bukhari and Imam Muslim, when recording their hadith in their books, they made a condition of sihha in the hadith. They said, we will go and collect authentic hadith. Okay? Those which are authentic. أصحاب السنن Imam al-Tirmidhi, al-Nasa'i, Ibn Majah, and Abu Dawud, they never say in their books that everything will be sahih and authentic. Hence, at times the Tirmidhi might say hadithun hasan, he might say hadithun gharib, he might say hasanun sahih, etc. Some are authentic, some are all right, and some are weak. He's not to blame because it's known in amongst the scholars of the past. Everybody knew the asanid, everybody knew the chain of narrators. As long as you gave the chain of narrators, you could narrate whatever you wanted, because the person looking then would be able to say, okay, but hold on, this is a weak chain of narrators. That's why Imam Ibn Kathir in his tafsir, Ibn Jarir and others, when they speak in the tafsir, say, Haddathana fulan and fulan and fulan and fulan and fulan, they give you the whole chain, then they say, and this person said this. This opinion in tafsir, and this person said opinion in this tafsir. Why? It was a rule amongst them that no problem, say what you want, but give us the isnad, then we'll be able to judge. Now, what happens today? A lot of people, they say, oh no, that's the hadith because it's in Tirmidhi. Hold on a second. There's some hadith that Tirmidhi himself says are weak, but you are quoting him to say as though he said it's authentic. He didn't say that.
And the Hassan Gharib always had me a bit confused what it actually meant, because I actually never knew what he meant with Hassan Gharib, but you explain it in the
so the scholars differ. That's one opinion. The scholars differ vastly because he never defined anywhere. Tirmidhi, they never define what he meant by that. After following a hadith, they said, look, generally, this is the opinion of our Sheikh, Sheikh Abdul Muhsin Al-Qasim. Says Hasan al-Sahih is generally authentic. Hasan is speaking about da'if, and Hasan al-Gharib is also speaking about Gharib. Some people say that when he says Hasan, it means that it's Hasan, but if you find another riwayah, it can go from Hasan li ghayri to Hasan li dhati, like that. It can go a level higher. Some people say Hasan Sahih means he found it from one isnad to be Hasan and from one isnad to be Sahih. So there's a debate up to today. Ibn Hajar and others spoke about it.
And Hasan Gharib would be
Min
weak,
gharib, yeah, a weak also.
Yeah.
Gharib, because you're going to come to hadith on gharib. That's why a lot of people who then quote out of these books, especially the more you're going to Tabarani, Darqutni, even though Darqutni was brilliant in Ilal, I'm talking about his collection. You'll find there what's Sahih and what's Da'if and like that, what's Hasan. But it's not their fault. They never say we're only collecting hadith which are authentic. That's why, and sometimes what happens is, for example, Al-Hakim says, رواه الحاكم وقال على شرط الشيخين وعلى شرط البخاري ومسلم. Say, Al-Hakim recorded this and he says it's on the condition of Bukhari and Muslim. But you find that Bukhari and Muslim came across those same hadith, but they left them. Why? Because sometimes apparently it might seem that the chain of narrators is correct, and apparently it might seem that they were all thiqa, and apparently it might seem everything was okay, but they may have known of what's called an illah khafiyya, a hidden illah, which very few people know. That's why Al-Bukhari was brilliant when it came to ilal. At-Tirmidhi also, he has a whole book on ilal. Daraqutni wrote when it came to ilal. So sometimes they'll tell you that even though Al-Hakim said ala shart al-shaykhain, shaykhan meaning Bukhari and Muslim, they themselves came across those hadith, but they left them because there was some ilal which were hidden. And ilal is a science on its own.
Okay. Could I ask you one question about the hadith, Sheikh? Because I sort of, when people are seen as reliable, they are called a thiqa.
Yeah.
But I also seen people that being termed as a suduq, trustworthy, right?
Yeah, no, yeah. So saduqun, you'll find saduqun, for example, you might find thiqatun thabt. Those are like your A stars. وهو ثقة ثبت. Then you might find saduq means the man himself was truthful, but they might say something like saduqun yahim, which means he was truthful, but he had some mistakes. Or you can find in the book, you'll find كان ثقة, he was ثقة, لكن اختلط في آخر أمره, something like that. They'll say in the last part of his life, he started mixing everything up, or he started to forget. And Ibn Hajar, his book is called Taqrib al-Taqrib. So it's a book written by Al-Mizzi first, where he wrote the people and the narrators. and then he came and he made a shortened version, and then he made a shortened version until he got to Tahdhib al-Tahdhib. All this
But
you'll
if
take
someone
later.
was
So,
deemed a Sudukun,
what's that?
that could be a reason for if someone is a Sudukun, termed a Suduk, that could be a reason for the hadith no longer being Sahih, or
No, it
do I
could
see
be.
that
So
wrong?
it could be a difference of opinion here. So let's say, for example,
Okay.
Omar knows me and he had a sour business dealing with me, example. And he says, Adnan is a terrible person. And you, on the other hand, may have had 100 dealings with me and I've never cheated you. And he'll say, no, he's a brilliant person. Now, just put that into perspective when it comes to hadith. Him as a sheikh in hadith will say that I'm not a good person, okay, kadhab or whatever. And you would be grading me as somebody to be brilliant. Hence, when it comes to grading the hadith, he's going to say my hadith is weak, and you're going to say my hadith is strong, and you're going to differ. So a lot of the times what happens is when we say, no, this sheikh said it's sahih, or that sheikh said it's sahih, according to him, there's others who may have had different opinions, but because people are not so well versed and don't go so deep into the hadith, and it takes a lot of time and effort and memorization, and that we find everybody just relies on Ibn Hajar generally. They are all we are all muqallids to Ibn Hajar in Taqrib al-Taqrib.
Yes.
Literally.
Yeah, because sometimes I have seen, like in English translations, that it said Suduk, and then behind there in brackets it said, for example, delusional. So that would mean that someone at his later age, for example, he started to lose his memory or something. Or
It depends what they mention in the book.
okay.
It depends what they mention. You have to go. There's a lot of different definitions. You have to go through them.
Yeah, it's just a chain. And I saw I don't know the book, the title. I forgot the title, but I saw a chain, and it said Fiqh, and then the next person Fiqh, and then it said the next person Suluk. But behind brackets it said delusional, I think, but it didn't give any further
him. So
info.
he himself was truthful, but he never filled the second condition, which was he may have been making a mistake. He may have been known to make mistakes. Any other questions before we wrap? Sorry, it took a little bit longer than usual.